Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with the eTimes. I'm here at the Hardware Pioneers Max conference in London, and I'm speaking to the CEO of a company called Kigen, Vincent Korstanje. Vincent, hello, how are you?
Hi Nitin, great to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for making time for me. I know you're a real busy man. The IoT is a busy industry right now, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing how we are really accelerating now. We've been talking about IoT for many years, and I really see a big wave coming. So it's very exciting to be at this show and to see now what all the new products are and all the new suppliers. So it's really very exciting.
So let's do two things we're going to do in this conversation. One is what are the key things happening right now and what's the news, but then I also want to get into a little bit of background. We had this conversation before, but to actually understand the whole sort of eSIM, cellular eSIM IoT connectivity business. Let's start with what's new, what's happening.
Well, to me, what is really interesting is that for the last 10 years, 5 years, we've been working on cellular IoT. Cellular IoT now came from the mobile phone and is now really reaching the IoT space. And there's been a lot of innovation that we've been doing as an industry. We're all working together, kind of how can we make it really easy for production. But this wave to me is really coming, that with both the new radio standards, which have been in the market for 3, 4, 5 years now, Cat-M, narrowband IoT, but that's really, if you look at the show floor, more and more people are getting, oh well, actually cellular can be really easy.
Okay.
It can be really easy to connect, and that's what we at Kigen have been innovating around and working with our partnership. Is great. How do we make that super easy so that you are looking at high volume production parts, and how do we fit into that supply chain? And that's what the real thing that we are excited about.
Excellent. So actually that sort of brings me to that second question first is, so what exactly do you do and where do you fit in that value chain?
Yeah, so we do effectively security around cellular with something which is called an eSIM. An eSIM is a SIM that is soldered down, which is really useful for an IoT device.
Now, that's what used to be what people would call EUICC.
Yes, the technical term is EUICC, or the SIM is a technical term is UICC, and then the embedded version, the soldered down version, is the EUICC.
Got it.
Colloquially, we call it eSIM, and it allows you to effectively do the connectivity and the management of the connectivity. So think about now you have an eSIM and you want to go from Vodafone to Deutsche Telekom or from AT&T to Verizon. These secrets and this security is held in the eSIM.
Okay.
Now eSIM has to become part of the production flow, and a SIM is something you add later into the device, but an eSIM gets soldered in, so it's part of the production flow of the actual devices.
Typically in a phone you'll have one soldered EUIC or eSIM.
Today, I think most phones have one.
Yeah.
Over time, you can have more than one. You could have a second, maybe. That's definitely coming as well.
Yeah.
If you look at an IoT device, well, probably one is more than enough because you want to have one connectivity. But how do you build it into the production flow? And that is really what is now historically has taken some time.
Okay.
And that's where we do a lot of innovation.
Before we go into that, just distinction really, because I think maybe some people like me get confused with eSIM, the consumer eSIM, which we get when we travel around, and what you're talking about. You're talking about a hardwired chip, whereas people are using eSIMs, which are travel SIMs, which are a bit different.
Yeah, so they still use the same hardware underneath.
Yeah.
It is just the QR code, and it's having the difference between having a user, like a consumer, going to a store and buying a data plan, versus actually having it, for instance, a smart meter.
Okay.
But that use case is quite different because a smart meter doesn't have an interface, it doesn't necessarily have a direct user. So you want to do now fleet management, you want to say, okay, all my smart meters in the UK will have this connectivity, all my smart meters in Germany will have this connectivity. So it is the same hardware, the interface is a little different, and how you encounter it. A lot of people will encounter an eSIM as a QR code, but actually it's putting the data of that and the secrets of that MNO, the private public keys, onto that little bit of hardware in your device.
Okay.
And for IoT it's very similar. The standards are a little bit different and the interfaces are a little bit different because the device is quite different.
And what's the challenge right now with doing cellular IoT? And I think part of it is just the time it takes to provision the devices?
So some of the things is how do you fit into production flow? Because
there's
no interface on most of these devices. If you think about a tracker, there's no interface. How do you get connectivity? Because it's very important to get the connectivity from day one. And then you can maybe interact with the portal in the internet. So how do you get that connectivity into the device? Now, the connectivity is something you have to ask from an MNO. It's different for different countries. You might work with an MVNO. So how do you make sure that as a producer of hardware, you get it built in the right time, not too early, because if you get it too early, it becomes a SKU management problem. Right, now you have a smart meter for Germany and a smart meter for the UK. So just as you sell it, you want to be able to personalize that device to that region you're going to sell it in. Now, in the production flow, we have found that actually, it's quite a taxing environment. Production flow probably has now 6-7 seconds to program, what we call personalization. So your package needs to be very small, but actually to fit into that flow, you probably have an hour.
That window, you mean?
That window from getting the device out of the warehouse to actually shipping the device and doing a little bit of update. You got a window of probably an hour.
If you miss that hour, then you have to wait.
Then it has to go back into the warehouse. It has to go. So it's really hard to do that. So we talked to quite a lot of the module makers, and that is kind of how do you then within that hour get all the information from that chip to the operating partner, the operator, say Vodafone or Deutsche Telekom again, back into an encrypted package and back into that device to be programmed in 6 seconds. Now that is really a bit of a challenge, and to make that really easy is something we have heavily invested in. 2 ways. One is we have been promoting a new standard, which we call eSIM IoT. The technical term is SGP32. But I call it eSIM IoT is a little easier. And then secondly, we have been investing in what we call factory provisioning and getting that down from 6 weeks, which is the SIM typical time frame, is into minutes. So we are going to do 10,000 of these profiles within 2-3 minutes between going from the key on the device all the way to the MNO back into the device, and doing that in a round tour in about 2 minutes. And that makes this production really easy and possible.
So is that making you unique, or is everybody, because it's standard, a lot of other people can do that as well now?
I've not heard anybody do this. We have talked to people that talk about fast track programs and then talk about 3 weeks.
Okay.
To me, that doesn't work for the production. So what we have done is we have focused really heavily. That's also why we're here today and this week. We have focused really heavily on the device makers.
Okay.
And we talk to them and we understand their problems and we work with them, and they go, well, 3 weeks is just not possible for us. Okay. But it has to be in that 8-hour window. It has to be in a 1 hour turnaround. And we go, okay, we automate it, and then we hit the 1 hour. But actually, because we automate it, we can now do it in minutes.
So this is a key of your most recent announcements, I guess.
It is. It is. We have this effectively factory provisioning together with this new IoT eSIM standard, which again gives device makers more control. Okay. Think about now, if you're in the field and you don't have connectivity, what do you do? How can my device now start roaming on multiple networks maybe, or how can I manage now from one country to the other? As a device maker, I want control of that. I want to help my customers get to market faster.
And what's your business model? So you work with the module makers, and that's kind of like a typical IP licensing.
So we work with effectively the module makers to put eSIMs down. We don't make the hardware ourselves, but we make the software that enables this, that stitches it all together. So for us, it is very much around now, the more eSIMs go out, the better it is for us. That is now where our business model lies.
And then you've got another element, which is the management
fee, the management side of it. So that's the other part of the business model, is that we get some money from the software on the eSIM, but also the management fee of that eSIM we can do for you, but we can also enable device makers to do it themselves. We can deliver the software so they can do it in-house. Well, some of them want to do it in-house as well.
Okay. So what's next? What's coming up?
What's coming up is we're seeing more and more use cases. Okay. That's quite interesting. That's again the wave of.
When you say more use cases, so like typical one example.
One example. Well, clearly the wearables. So wearables is definitely an example. You can see that the wearable manufacturers are starting to experiment with narrowband IoT radios on the device, so direct connectivity. Also NTN satellites. You can see that some of them are doing that. So you can see the other thing is smart labels. High value products getting tracked with cellular labels. Think about the one I really like is the tuna. Okay. Expensive goods to ship, and the tuna manufacturers want to know: is the tuna cold? Is the tuna being stored? Where is my tuna? Yeah. It's a really big industry. Now that's one area. So you can see really unexpected cases come up.
So yeah, that's what's coming up with you in terms of different areas you're going into. Is that right?
It is. It is. So it's very much now the wave of IoT again. For many years we've been working on it, and I'm sure you have been reporting on it. Yeah. We can actually see our revenue on eSIMs tenfolded over the last year.
So one of the big things I keep hearing in industry and talking to people here at the show is we've not really seen IoT scale. And is this cellular connectivity kind of going to help that?
I think so, because it is really easy. If you think about Wi-Fi, if you have to install your device, like say a washing machine, onto your Wi-Fi, it's a bit of a hassle. What's the benefit for the consumer? Maybe not as big. But as a producer, there's a big benefit of actually knowing where your device is and how your device is operating.
Okay.
If you put cellular into that, it's completely seamless.
All right.
And that is really important to make that possible and see those new use cases come up.
Well, Vincent, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. It's great talking to you.
Thank you.